So this is the site of the project. Gets a little shading early morning and late afternoon, but otherwise is pretty ideal. All right, so here is the bottom rail now in place and ready to be cemented in. This is a 12-foot section. It will hold 3 panels, approximately 45 inches wide by 80 inches high. The bottom rail is unistrut. The holes are about 16 inches deep, and there's about 12 inches of steel framing embedded. It's all leveled up and ready for cement. So now the bottom rail has been cemented in and is in position to receive the panels. Each strut is fitted with a unistrut hinge, which will allow the array to rotate as the linear actuators are positioned to keep the array perpendicular to the arc of the sun as it changes throughout the year. These are the unistrut hinges. They cost about 25 bucks each. They're very strong. They have a lot of play in them, which means they'll very likely never bind up, even being outdoors. I would not try to substitute or save any money by using anything other than these hinges. So with this temporary frame in place, with a simple straight edge, you can find the location for your first actuator pad. So these are the pads for the actuators. In my case, the first pad was the highest point. So it's important that you level the next pad up exactly level with the first pad, and that they both be about 6.5 feet away from the bottom rail. I cemented in the brackets and bolted them in so I didn't have to drill the bolts in later into dry cement. There has to be enough height for the actuators in a collapsed state to be installed and still maintain the angle of the array at its lowest point. In my case, that is 19 degrees, which I arrived at by determining the latitude of Athens, Georgia to be 34 degrees, and then subtracting 15 degrees to arrive at the summer solstice, when the angle of the sun to the array is at its highest point. The actuators measure about 32 inches collapsed and can extend an additional 30 inches. They cost about $90 each on Amazon or eBay. The actuators I chose are rated to lift upwards of 600 pounds each, much more than the estimated 200-pound weight of the upper purlin fully loaded. However, I chose them because of their stout frames and because they are designed for exterior use. So now you can see that the entire frame is complete. It consists of 3 lengths of unistrut, $35 each, or $105. 2 linear actuators at $90 each, or $180. Several nuts and bolts, $25. 3 unistrut hinges at $25 each, for a total of $75. And 4 bags of concrete at $6 each, total of $24. And a grand total of $409. This design requires no special skills or tools and can be built by any reasonably competent do-it-yourselfer with a post hole digger and a socket set. So, as I work with these bifacial collectors, I notice more and more the advantages of it. Here in Athens at this time, it's like October 12th or so, and so I'm looking at the sun sneaking under the front of the collectors, and I'm saying to myself, well, if I have a reflective medium on the ground in front of the collectors, I mean, that's significant. That's like close to 2 feet of additional reflective area that the collectors will gain energy from the back. And I could see now where that would be a significant increase in efficiency versus a roof-mounted system where you would probably get little or no reflective advantage from a bifacial collector. I chose a bifacial collector that promised a stout frame and hail resistant glass. So this is a 3-panel module that I'm going to expand into 4 different modules eventually, each one very similar to this. The unique thing about these collectors is they form part of the frame. The frame is very simple. It's only 2 unistruts, and in framers' parlance, it would be 2 purlins and virtually no rafters in between. The collectors themselves act as the rafters. They're attached, obviously, top and bottom, and they're sturdy enough to make a very strong frame. No need to get all exotic with rafters and cross bracing and all that stuff. It's just 2 purlins, 3 struts down into the ground at the bottom, and of course the 2 connecting actuators up to the top purlin. Very strong frame. Should withstand a good serious wind. Alright, so here we're pretty much complete now. We've got a nice sunny day. We've got our collectors at the max angle here in early December. We've got our bottom brackets cemented into pads. We have our top brackets tack welded onto the unistrut. I'm going to actuate the collectors now so you could see what's going on here. I made some little marks so you can see because the actuators are sort of slow moving. Of course, it's not an issue because the adjustments are only going to be about 5 degrees a month. Like I said before, we've got our wires which look a little messy, but they all work. That's what happens when you wire up in parallel. My wire's going down to my tube underground, which I didn't position that well. Should have been closer under the collectors, but everything works. Very happy with the way everything worked out. Today we got a nice sunny day. We're getting a lot of free energy and a lot of clean free energy, and it warms my heart. So here's my setup inside the garage. There's your collector wires, black and red, coming in from outside, and the green wire is the low voltage wire going back out to the site to operate the actuators. Here's my inverter. Right now I'm a grid tie guy, and of course grid tie is very simple, very least expensive way of starting a solar project, and I highly recommend it. Great way to get your feet wet without a very big expense. There's my 12-volt battery that operates the actuators and the little controller right next to it. There's my remote controller. I'll leave it right there. And finally, this is a little inexpensive, I don't know what you call it, but it records all the information, kilowatt hours. You got amps and watts, the lowest wattage on the day. You get the highest wattage on the day. That's some kind of overload thing I don't understand. And that's the current wattage that the collectors are making, 818. It's a fairly sunny day, but there are high clouds that you can see out there. It's not a perfectly clear. I have gotten as much as just over 1,000 watts with this little setup, but 800 or 900 is normal because you never get that really clear day. And then of course the wire goes into my circuit board and feeds the house.